what's up? Welcome to the very first episode of One Album Only, where each episode will discuss one album at a time, discuss the impact on the music industry, and the impact that it gave on myself and my friends. And the very first album we're going to do today is the great Slayer, Hell Awaits. Why Hell Awaits? Because it's one of the best albums out there for Slayer that nobody ever talks about. Of course, Rain and Blood is a great album, and I actually heard it before I ever heard Hell Awaits. This would be the second album I heard from Slayer, and I was blown away by it. It's kind of the precursor to Rain and Blood. I mean, songs like Kill Again and Necrophiliac and Hell Awaits and At Dawn They Sleep, Crypts to Eternity, Hardening of the Arteries, Praise of Death. I mean, if you haven't listened to this album, you need to go pick it up, especially if you're a Slayer fan. A lot of times I run across Slayer fans and they don't ever mention this album. Well, let me tell you about this album, man. It kicks ass. And when I first got it, I'll be honest with you, I was listening to it. I was about 13 years old. And I really wasn't sure what I was listening to. But I knew it was different. And I knew that it was totally heavier than any other shit I ever heard. And at the time, when I was 13, I was kind of growing tired of listening to Def Leppard, Motley Crue, bands like this, from the early 80s that, they were metal back then. That's what I knew, at age 10. By the time I got to 13, I started realizing albums like Hell Awaits. And let me tell you, this album right here kicks ass. It's fast, it's raw, and the vocals are great. Because Rain and Blood is a great album, but this album is raw, where they were at their purest form before being overproduced or maybe slowing down on other albums. And, Tom slowing down on his vocals on other albums, but this one really, really sets the pace for the band. I know they had albums before that, but they were like one, and there was an EP, that had a couple songs on it, Haunting the Chapel or whatever. This right here really kicked ass. And, I started to listen to it, and the first few times I was somewhat confused, because it's definitely heavier than anything I had heard before. I'll tell you, after 2 or 3 times of hearing it, I knew this was a good album, and I knew that I would always listen to this album and come back to it over and over. It was released in 1985. In 1985, this is probably one of the heaviest albums you could get, and that's where it marked it for Slayer. They were recognized by that, and then they moved on to do greater albums. But the thing with this album is, when I first got it, first off, if you look at the cover, it's crazy looking. I mean, I remember my mom finding this album and was like really concerned whether I should own it or not. But I was able to convince her by reading the lyrics to her that they were just stories from medieval times, or whatever the case was that they were reading and writing about in their songs. And then you open it up and you look at the pictures, and there's Kerry King with the big nail bracelet and everything, and he had long hair back then. And the band just looked the part. You know what I'm saying? It was like they weren't wearing makeup, they weren't trying to be frazzle-dazzle and all this other crap. Let me tell you, these guys kick some ass. And obviously everybody knows Slayer, and they always mention all their albums, but you never hear anybody mention this album, Hell Awaits. And let me tell you, when I first started to get into Slayer, this was the one that carried me on to the more and more albums. And I still think it's probably one of the most underrated metal albums, and by far, for sure, is the most underrated Slayer album. So I think that whenever people that I knew I was hanging out with started listening to it, and the whole music scene kind of changed for me. So before, like I said, I was listening to these somewhat metal bands in the early 80s that, but then when I heard this, I didn't want to listen to that shit anymore, as much as I like bands like Motley Crue and stuff like that. It was time to move on to something else. Maybe I listen to them now, but back then, this is what it was about. And I can tell you, at age 13, when I'd go to middle school, and I would wear Slayer shirts, Ain't nobody knew who they were. I mean, people that I would hang out with at the time when I was 12 and 13 that were into metal and would wear the jean jackets and the patches and the shirts like I did. You know, they were listening to stuff like Grim Reaper and Saxon and shit like that. And then, you know, I started wearing Slayer, and they were like, man, who's Slayer? You never listened to Slayer? Now, at that time, their latest album would have been Rain and Blood. So these two, Hell Awaits and that one, would have been the big hit to listen to. So I gave my buddy a copy of this album, and he went home and listened to it and come back and was like, I don't think this dude ever listened to Grim Reaper again. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously they had Rock You to Hell. Well, this is the real Rock You in Hell. So uh, that's the kind of impact it made on the music industry. Although the albums they did later really made an impact, this is kind of the precursor to me. So this is the album that the producers and the record companies and all that saw to give them the chance to make that better album. So without this album, I don't think Slayer would be as what they are today. And for that note, that's why I made my first episode of one album only, Hell Awaits. When you listen to these guitar riffs, they're freaking bad, dude. The dude's ripping all over the place with Jeff Hanneman and Kerry King. You know, you got Dave on drums and Tom singing. But the vocal style was a little different. Maybe he was using a different effects, like an echo effect or something, you know. But I liked that. And it was raw, and it just stood out, and it was like it got you. You know what I'm saying? You don't forget that. And this album still to the day stands the test of time, but yet nobody talks about it. Well, I'm marking this right here as my favorite Slayer album. Maybe you should check it out too. So, that concludes the first episode of One Album Only. Stay tuned for many, many more of your favorite albums where I'll discuss why I think it's a good album and why other people should take it up. So, later.